A very good evening to you and welcome to Kurero, the platform for big conversation. My name is Godwin Sunday. Tonight we'll be looking at EKITI State and try to also look at the election in the just concluded election in EKITI State and also try to put the election in perspective tonight. We'll begin the conversation immediately after this break. Please stay with us. And you're welcome back to Kurero, the big conversation table where we discuss matters and analyze issues. Now, let's bring the issue for tonight in perspective. Now, the 2026 EKITI governorship election was held on Saturday, June the 20th, 2026 to elect a governor of EKITI State for another 4-year term. The election was conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) across the state's 16 local government areas and 177 wards. Not even forgetting that we had about 2,445 polling units. Now, voting commenced in the morning across the state with security personnel and election observers deployed to monitor the exercise. Although there were reports and allegations of vote buying and isolated beavers-related challenges, the election was generally peaceful, with no major security incidents reported. The incumbent governor, the person of Governor Biodun Oyebanji of the All Progressive Congress, APC, won re-election with 319,224 votes, defeating his closest rival of the People's Democratic Party, Wale Oluyede, who secured 40,543 votes. The victory was described as a landslide, giving Oyebanji a second term in office. Now, tonight, we'll take an overview of the election, analyzing the situation that went through the election period. And joining me for this conversation is Barrister SALIFU OGUCHE USMAN, who is a legal practitioner and also a public affairs analyst. And also I'm being joined in the studio by Francis Okoye, who is also a public affairs analyst. First, gentlemen, you're welcome to Kurero.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon, for having us.
Good evening.
All right, let's even begin with Francis. You're a party man. First, let me say congratulations to your party, the All Progressive Congress, for clinching the victory, even in EKITI State. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
All right, so, but what is your first assessment of the outcome of the EKITI 2026 governorship election? Was the result an actual victory for democracy?
Yes, I will first of all congratulate the people of EKITI State, because this is the first time they are shifting from their political history of not re-electing a governor for a second time consecutively. This is the first time they are having such an experience. So that's why I say congratulations to the people of EKITI State, because Biodun Oyebanji has broken the chains of winning second term straight away without coming back after 4 years or after 8 years like Kayode and Fayose and the rest of them. Then secondly, I equally congratulate the winner, the INEC pronounced winner, Biodun Oyebanji, for emerging victory, polling more than 319,000 votes to beat his closest rival from PDP, who polled about 40,000 plus votes. To me, like you asked, to me, I think it is victory for democracy and victory for the people of EKITI State, because first of all, before the election, every discerning mind should read the room that Oyebanji had no opponent in that election. The opposition, whether PDP and the other political parties that ran against the incumbent Oyebanji of APC, were not actually on ground or adequately prepared to show that they actually want to come and win the election. So the incumbent governor toured the whole wards in the state, or majority of the wards, local government and communities, preaching his mantra of being re-elected a second time, seeking for a second time mandate for the people to help him consolidate on the gains of the past 3 years and a half plus. And the people of Ekiti State supported him. And if you look at the history too, almost, in fact, all the former governors of Ekiti State, both Fayose, that is not even officially an APC member, and Kayode and the rest of them supported the Oyebanji's aspiration to become a governor for the second term. So if all these critical stakeholders who are opinion molders, who are, well, you know, people who can shape where most of the or some of the electorates can vote or can go, we are with him prior before the election. I see no reason why he wouldn't have emerged with that landslide victory of votes that he garnered during the election. So his victory is the affirmation of the mandate given to him 4 years ago, the reaffirmation of the mandate, and equally on consolidating on the gains of the past 4 years so that he can have another 4 years to do more work for the people of Ekiti State. That is what the people just testified or affirmed with their votes on that election.
So
day.
you're saying
it is victory
for democracy. Well,
yes.
Interesting. Now, Barrister, let me come to you. In the off-cycle election right now across the country, we are having a reoccurring phenomenon by the common decimal factor, which borders on vote buying. We saw vote buying played out in a number of states. And just recently, the FCT just concluded FCT election. We also saw vote buying play out. Will vote buying still a major concern in off-cycle elections? Do existing penalties, even under the Electoral Act, serves as an effective deterrent, or is there a need for stricter sanctions even in the Electoral Act?
Once again, Mr. Godwin, thank you for having me. I sat here sometime last year and I said categorically that the challenge with the Nigerian electoral system is not for want of legislations. It's not for want of statutory guidance, but the challenge has always been the desperation of the political class. Their desperation to win at all costs, to dare all odds and triumph. And that has put both the electoral laws, political norms, regulations, and whatever system you put in place to futility. Coming to your question, the Electoral Act, the 2022 Electoral Act, amended Act, and the 2026 Electoral Act all have eloquent provisions stipulating specific punishments for vote buying and other electoral offenses. But the challenge is this: where is the willpower on the part of INEC, on the part of the security agencies, on the part of relevant agencies to arrest and prosecute those you have alleged indulged in vote buying? We all see these things happen on the television. We all see them being displayed on the social media, votes being bought openly. Persons were being handed cards in EKITI. I saw them live. Persons were being handed cards and cash at the same time and all of that. But ultimately, they all end up in the realm of speculation, rumors, and local parlance discussion. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody is going to be prosecuted. We will all get fined. The system will continue. Vote buying is becoming a norm. And if you are vying for election like some of us intend to do in 2027, while you are campaigning and telling the people what you can do, there is also every need for you to begin to stash some cash somewhere.
So you think that the system has failed?
Absolutely.
Let me come to Francis in this regard. You took us to the historical perspective where you gave us a background and where you're congratulating Oyebanji for his victory. But then let's bring you back to the historical perspective also. You recall that Ekiti State became an off-cycle state in somewhere around 2007. Well, going by that whole narrative. That's 2007. So between 1999 and 2022, no governorship election in EKITI State has recorded 50% voters turnout. This just concluded election, we recorded about 35.4% by the statistics. Some people even say it's lower than that. But then let's go by the official statistics right now. Now, EKITI, APC, which is your party, have maintained the larger part of the democratical period in EKITI State. But then we still have this number and turnout. What does this tell us about voters' confidence in the electoral system? And if we are to judge by the party that have stayed the longest, even in EKITI State, can we say that the ruling All Progressive Congress have not been able to set the bar high by restoring voters' confidence in EKITI State?
I want to speak as a political scientist in this realm, not as a party man. It is a general disease that we are facing currently in Nigeria, the issue of voter apathy. It's not only peculiar to EKITI State. The Nigerian electorate, as the year go by, day go by, weeks go by, are losing confidence in exercising their franchise. Either because of the fact that maybe after the declaration of an election, it's not what they expect that was declared, or what they are seeing on the social media, that at the end of the day, monies will be used to bite the votes. And at the end of the day, it is not the will of the people, it is the will of money. These are some of the things that will make people not to have confidence in the electoral system, particularly the voting system. So it now makes people to shy away on election day. You see them on social media shouting, this is my candidate, this is who fits my state, this is who fits my local government, this is who fits Nigeria. On election day, you will see most of those people shouting on social media, either at the beer parlor drinking, or playing football at the field, or discussing other unnecessary things. Meanwhile, elections are held only 2 days. I mean, the first day for presidential and national assembly, the second day for state assembly and governorship. So if you can sacrifice 2 days out of 4 years, because it's just for 4 years you do election. So if you can sacrifice 2 days to stop drinking, stop womanizing, stop taking whatever type of cigarette or what have you, and stop in all those norms that you see people engaging on election day. If we can sacrifice them and make sure that we vote and protect our vote. Nobody is telling you to go and fight anybody on election day. Even on election day, no polling unit will have more than 3 policemen on election day, apart from the off-cycle one that you can get like up to 7 or 8 policemen in a one polling unit. But in that particular general election that we normally hold, like we are going to have in January and February, you hardly see more than 3 policemen. So there is no policeman that is going to guard you or force you to vote against your will, or even prevent you from making sure that your vote count. So it is high time we, the electorate, took it upon ourselves to make sure that our votes count. And how do we make it? By ensuring, one, you participate. You don't just go leave it at the level of shouting at the social media, and on election day you run away. Make sure that on election day you vote. Look at currently now, they are doing voters registration. How many people are raising the awareness? How many people who have even had the awareness are participating and making sure that they go and register? Or those who their card have expired to go and renew it, or those who are not up to age of 18 during the last election to go and get a new one. How many people are taking part in these things? You don't say you want to fix your country when you are not playing your role as a citizen. Most of the bulk of the roles we should play to fix this country lie on the citizens more than even the leaders. That is the way I see it. So it is a general phenomenon. It has nothing to do with only EKITI just concluded election. The voter apathy is a general phenomenon, which I think we have to face by ourselves, with the citizens, the electorate.
So you've cleverly exonerated the All Progressive Congress from this.
No. See, it's like when he was talking about issue of vote buying. There is no party that is not involved in vote buying. And you don't blame only APC, my party. That's why I told you earlier I didn't want to sound like a politician.
But you know, we'll definitely bring you back to
I'm coming. I can sound later. Yes. But in this particular issue I just discussed, I removed politics out of it. Yeah. And that was why I was blunt. You understand? And in the spirit of that bluntness, I think both APC and the other political parties that participated in that EKITI just concluded election, we should be blamed too on the issue of voter apathy. How many of them went on sensitization across the local government, the wards and all that, to sensitize the people, telling them that they should come and participate and vote on election day? How many of them? So it's not only APC that should be blamed in the issue of voter apathy. Thank you.
Well, Barrister, you've heard that it's not just APC that should be blamed. Other political parties should also be blamed for all of this. But then we will not rule out the fact also that APC is the ruling party in EKITI State. So, Barrister, let's look at the Electoral Act in itself. There've been this argument that first, INEC cannot actually prosecute for vote buying, even by the recently enacted Electoral Act. Help us understand, where does INEC stand in the Electoral Act? Because we only read on papers that vote buying is a criminal offense, but we've not seen actual prosecution. Is INEC liable for prosecution when it has to do with vote buying? Or are security agencies turning a blind eye? Because some of the videos are making the rounds even on social media. We saw persons, we are seeing persons sharing money just close to security personnel. Help us understand this lacuna and help us tie the knots.
Mr. Godwin, Nigeria is a very interesting country. I dare to see. Very interesting in the sense that most often than not, you have a situation where you have an individual who is entrusted with a duty to protect a particular institution, a particular phenomenon, becoming the abuser of that same system. Now, let's look at it like this. When you talk about vote buying, has it ever crossed your mind that most often than not, it is the party in power in a particular state that does vote buying with reckless abandon, with so much confidence, with impunity? You saw it in Anambra. Who did it with impunity? So Zabga. Even if APC and PDP and Labour Party did in Anambra, they had to do it in hiding.
Let's allege on that, because Soludo have come out to say no, there was nothing of that magnitude. So let's allege on that, just to put the record
allegedly.
Yes,
That's in your words.
No, let's allege on that, please.
Now, allegedly, who did it with impunity, with confidence? Allegedly, the party in power. And now you go to EKITI. What is your experience? Who did it with impunity, with confidence, with reckless abandon? The party in power. And what does that tell you? What it tells you is that this thing goes in hand with the philosophy of those who are in power. If those who are in power actually are determined and intentional about us having a free, fair, and transparent election devoid of vote buying, we will have same. And let me tell you something. You have not seen people being arrested and prosecuted because there is no political will. Like I said earlier, most often than not, the payment and distribution of cards and arrangement of who would receive money after voting or before voting and all of that is being done by the security operatives who are supposed to arrest those involved in those same activities. So it is a systemic thing. And like I have always emphasized on this program and every other platform, the major problem bedeviling the Nigerian nation, aside that leadership issue, is also the greed of the ordinary Nigerian, who, despite the failure of government and leadership, is also greedy to accept crumb and further the sabotaging of the system.
But since the system right now is not working, we'll come to you, Francis. Since the system, you said, is a systemic epidemic.
Yes.
Now, since the system is not working according to you, should we begin to look or consider stricter penalties for offenses ahead of the 2027? Is it the system? Is it the act that has a challenge?
The problem is not for want of laws. It's not for want of penalty. The penalty you have at today. The penalty you have at today, who has been brought to book? How many persons you think your electoral laws are devoid of penalties for vote buying and other electoral offenses?
Let me give you an example. I'm supporting what he said. All he said now are 100% correct. Let me give you an example. During the last Anambra November 2025 governorship election, we have it on social media. It's not allegedly. It's all over the social media. Some people were caught, APGA members, caught sharing money on election day. Like we are seeing some APC people sharing money in EKITI. And we made that police arrested them that day because I participated in the election as an APC member. And we made police to arrest them. Those people were arrested. The following day, they were released. Even with all the evidences. So the law is there. The sanctions are there for offenders of electoral, this thing. It's in the Electoral Act. So, but nobody to implement it. The way, like he said, is not there. That is the issue. So we are not looking for laws. The laws are there. And with strict penalties. So with all of this you've said so far, this is what is going to guide us even in 2027 election. Are you saying that this is a prototype of the 2027 election?
Mr. Godwin, I like to speak with a touch of philosophy in my analysis. Not until Nigeria begin to change, reorient us, so change our disposition to power.
You want to put a time you want to put a time frame to that.
But you can't even begin to talk about getting to a destination when you have not started.
Yes.
You have not started. So how do you put a time frame?
So invariably 2027 election is going to be mad with a lot of irregularities.
Business as usual. It's going to, I'm not saying it's irregularity. It's going to be business as usual.
The business as usual is going to be irregularities. Let's call it
allegedly.
All right. So let's move on. Looking at, but going by the EKITI state election, we saw what transpired even at the polling units, at the collation center. Literally, most opposition party agents refused to even come to the collation center for whatever reasons. But are opposition parties right now in Nigeria strong enough to challenge the dominant, I'm bringing this to you, Francis, to challenge the dominant political structure? Or is the election becoming increasingly predictable as the case is right now? Because you've said so far that Oyebanji has been able to maintain a trajectory. But elections in Nigeria is becoming predictable. Let's get your take on it.
To be frank with you, I'm not a member of opposition. I'm in APC. Yes. No, I want to be frank. Like I told him earlier, I want to sound more of a political scientist on this interview than a politician. To be frank with you, opposition in Nigeria has not lived up to expectation ahead of 2027 general election. Why did I say that? Most of the things happening in opposition parties, they always blame the ruling party as the cause of their problems or internal miasma. And at the end of the day, the so-called party, politician A will leave party A and enter party B. Before you know, you leave party B and enter party C. All these are opposition parties. They've not been able to see. The only person I can give kudos among all the leaders of the current opposition parties as currently constituted today in Nigeria is Governor Alex Oti of Abia State. Look at what happened in a Labour Party before Alex Oti took over. What is happening today? Alex Oti has stabilized Labour Party, even though some people are claiming there is still a little faction. But we know the law has already said that the faction of Alex Oti being the leader of the Labour Party is the recognized one as of today. Did Alex Oti leave the party? He didn't. He remained in the party, repositioned the party, reinvigorated it, and reinforced it. Now, Labour Party is a strong party in Abia State. If eventually he wins second term by next year, from there he can grow the Labour Party beyond Abia State. That is how opposition parties should start doing, what opposition parties should start doing. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did it during his time. Asiwaju sacrificed his presidential ambition twice. He sacrificed even his senatorial ambition around 1993 just because he wants to build a party. Now, what happened? After building all these parties all over the years, Asiwaju came out in 2023 to run for presidential election. And he won. How many people could sacrifice their political interest to build a political party that can see the test of time. How many among all these people parading themselves now as presidential candidates or leaders of various opposition political parties? So what I'm saying in essence is that opposition parties have not really lived up to expectation. See, there are certain things that if we see in the polity, it should be opposition parties that should be championing it, leading it, either by way of protest, agitation, press conference, or what have you. It was through opposition that APC came on board. If it wasn't opposition, APC wouldn't have entered into government. How many of those people in opposition today, be it NDC, ADC, or Labour Party, or other political party, PDP, are doing what brought APC on board today? None of them. You just make one or two skeletal statements on the social media handle, or go to one station like that, or your station, and do one or two interviews. It ends there. Where are the action? Where are the street credibility of opposition parties? These are things, you see, I'm a member of APC, but we need that opposition for democracy to survive. If we don't have viable, strong opposition, APC may be behaving the way they like. So we don't have an opposition in Nigeria today. That is the simple truth. And if this hand continues, I'm telling you, Asiwaju may garner more votes more than he garnered in 2023. I can assure you that.
Well, when you say opposition are going to different stations and including mine too also, so let me just quickly set that aside. So that we can concentrate on, let's set that aside so we can have a very detailed conversation. Now, the barrister, INEC has consistently promoted BVAS and the whole electronic transmission of results.
Alongside glitches.
Well, they've not come out to say there have been glitches in the whole process. But then, legally speaking, has the Electoral Act sufficiently closed the loopholes that previously enabled election manipulation?
Mr. Katimbe, you were here. I think I was here 2 days after we took the protest to the National Assembly on...
Yeah, just 2 days after, yes, I recall. But that was before the EKITI state election.
When we insist on
the electoral
transmission
of results.
And the National Assembly were smarter than us, and they outwitted us and came up with a position that is as good as manual transmission, because the proviso was slotted in that takes away the effect of attempts to get direct, immediate transmission of results.
Real time.
Yeah, real-time transmission of results. So I do not think we have made substantial progress laws-wise in that aspect. But again, I would always say the problem with the Nigerian electoral system is not the law. Have we been able to implement religiously what we have so far so good? I would say no. The politicians themselves are always desperate and so much in haste to outwit each other in the secretion of laws and winning at all costs. At the end of the day, it becomes a free for all fight and a matter of survival of the fittest, where laws are put aside. That is the problem. I know that there are issues with our electoral act, particularly with respect to real-time transmission of results and all of that. But again, if we can religiously implement what we have now, there will be some degree of credibility and improvement on the system. But that is far from being in sight. INEC can only back at the end of the day, when the chips are down, when pressures are brought to bear. What has always been might play out again. So I think we need a total overhaul of our orientation as a people, as a electorate, and also as umpires. Because I tell you something, if the Nigerian people, I have seen it in an election before, and how did APC itself come about in 2015? Like Comrade Francis here posited, it is the diligence, the vigilance of the opposition. If the oppositions are diligent and vigilant enough, they can hold the party in power, they can hold INEC, they can hold the security structure accountable. And when you hold people accountable to do what they ought to do, it's the only way you can get positive.
Well, but Barrister, I thought you, for one, you'll be advocating for special electoral offences court to ensure speedy justice, because I think that's where the bulk.
Who is being arrested that should be tried? You just finished an election in EKITI. How many people were arrested? You are looking for special court. How many people were arrested? You finished election in Anambra. Is it not when people are arrested that you talk about prosecution? Nobody's been arrested for electoral. I have been involved in election since 1999. I had been 2019 in my ward. In my polling units, the person I was mobilizing against was a House of Assembly candidate in my polling unit. And on the day of the election, he stage managed the abduction of my immediate younger brother and my nephew. Then at the polling unit, he surrounded me. He brought headsmen from God knows wherever. They were dangling AK-47. 7 of them surrounded me. These things were in the full glare of every member of my community who has been arrested and prosecuted. Isn't it when people are arrested that you talk about special courts to prosecute, to try them? Like I said earlier, the willpower to enforce the law is not there. So it's not a matter of special courts or special agency and all of that. The police have been adequately equipped by the law.
Well, let me come to you, Francis. For a lot of people, the election is won based on performance, based on party structure, based on the candidate popularity, and also voters' dissatisfaction. Looking at the EKITI State, recently concluded EKITI State election, which of these parameters should one say makes that election or form the outcome of that election?
Number one is performance of Biodun, Governor Biodun. Then second is the
let's take the conversation through to the 16 local governments in EKITI State before we talk about even the performance. Please go ahead.
The performance of the governor. When you look at what the people of EKITI State are saying, in as much as sometimes we will not say that social media is a strong determinant of all the happenings in the state, but I go through social media a lot and I read what people say about even people who are not even members of APC, what they say about the outcome of that election. The governor has really performed well in the last 3 years and 6 months in office. And that re-election mandate given to him was an attestation of his noble, lofty performance in office. That is why I said that. Then secondly, party structure. As far as I'm concerned, EKITI State, APC in EKITI State is well rooted. The people of EKITI State, if you bring 5 people now and ask them which political party do you think is well grounded in EKITI, out of that 5, 3 or 4 will tell you APC before they remember PDP and the rest of them. That is the simple truth. And these are some of the factors that played major role in his re-emergence as governor for the second time for the people of EKITI State. These are the way I see it.
Well, that's where you say it. Of course, Barrister, if voting pattern in EKITI were replicated nationally, what would it mean for the 2027 election? The pattern.
If the pattern is replicated, it means that Swaju is home and done. It means his re-election is actually.
So what it means?
But the dynamics at the national level
is different. Yes.
The dynamics differs. The interest differs. The political economy, the political history, however you want to look at it. But if that pattern, but the factors are different. The circumstances.
So when it has to do with the national election, you're saying at this point, ethnicism and religion and everything will play out. Yeah.
You know what could amount to performance to the people of EKITI would not amount to performance for the people of Bauchi or Zamfara and Yobe or Anambra. Then there is always, like the late Robert Mugabe would say, we are Africans. You cannot take away issues of ethnicity and region from Africans. And in fact, in African politics, in African political economy, performance is secondary. most of those primordial issues and sentiments play vital roles than performance. In Africa, it's possible that most of our best candidates don't win election in Africa because the factors that determine electoral victory in Africa are primordial in nature. So the circumstances are different. You can't transmit what happened in EKITI as a pointer to what will happen in 2027.
Well, Francis, let me bring this to you. EKITI Anambra election was largely attributed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's involvement and support for endorsement of the person of Charles Soludo. Now, the FCT election was also attributed to Wike's, who is also working directly with Mr. President. But the Ekiti State election, if we're to go by the president, was it also directly linked to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the victory in itself?
You remember I said...
Did he influence the election?
Remember I said earlier that party structure was part of the major... Tinubu's influence wasn't a major influence in that election. Party structure was. Why I say so is that if you look at the antecedents of Ekiti State, the history of that state, apart from few years that Zifayoshi ruled, the other years were ACN, APC, AC that ruled Ekiti State. And the party now is APC. I don't know if you are getting me. So, I mean from 1999. So the 89% of the parties that have ruled that state remains APC, starting from when they were AC, ACN, and APC. So that party was already rooted in Ekiti State. So it was one of the major reasons. And the people who could find it difficult to vote another party outside APC. That's part of it. So Asiwaju's influence wasn't as so majorly noticed as or pronounced at the way the influence of the party structure and the performance of the governor was.
So you think that Asiwaju's
I say it wasn't pronounced.
It did not affect the voters' behavior.
Yes,
in Ekiti State.
It wasn't.
Well,
even that of Anambra you are talking about.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, even the Anambra you are talking about. I don't think Asiwaju's influence equally played a role in Soludo's emergence. The major things that played role in Soludo's emergence was structure too. APGA was.
Well, I'm asking that question because videos making the rounds even on social media. We've seen security personnel when it has to do with the case of vote buying. We saw security personnel even standing while all of this transaction was going on in Ekiti State. Now, the security agencies in Nigeria is under the exclusive legislative list. They take the orders directly from Mr. President. So if a security agency is going to turn blind eye to all of this, can we attribute this to the federal might?
Nigerian police as constituted today is a federal police. But you will not tell me that the commissioner of police in Anambra or in Ekiti or in Enugu, Adamawa, were not listening to what the governor of that state has told him. If the governor comes and meets some of the security operatives there and say, this is how we want it to go. Some of them will look the other way when the electoral malpractice could be going on. It happens. So that doesn't mean that they are taking directives from the presidency. Most of them during the election take directives from the chief security officer of that state.
Let me come to you, Barrister. How reliable have the off-cycle elections been as predictors of national outcomes?
Ordinarily, off-cycle elections ought to be more transparent and people-oriented more than the general election, because in off-cycle election you have the concentration of resources, being human, material, and otherwise. You also have the concentration of civil society organizations, concentration of the media, even international observers, and all of that. But again, the Nigerian factor, which is the desperation of the political class. Mind you, I have always emphasized the issue of the desperation of the political class, because the Nigerian political elites are so desperate in their pursuit of power, because they see power as the sure way to wealth and strength. So they are so desperate to the point that they break all known laws, they violate all known principles to acquire power. So you can't actually, from our experience in the Nigerian political system, you can't gauge anything. You can't say this is a pattern, it's going to go this way. Like in the US now, there is this midterm election that is about coming up, and you can predict how Michigan will vote,
Yes.
how Virginia will vote, and all of that.
And it will come to pass.
And it will come to pass. But in Nigeria, the only issue is who has a deeper pocket, and like my brother here would say, who has a structure. So it is not about performance. It is not about exchange of ideas. In fact, in Nigeria today, there is a dearth of political philosophy. There is nothing. There is no ideological content in our politics.
Yes.
Nobody cares about who has the
unfortunate.
best ideas. Nobody cares about who is putting up a proposal for the betterment. Nothing. There is a dearth of content in our politics. Okay, look at the EKITI election. Tell me, what were the campaign plans? What were the roadmaps of Oyebanji or whoever?
None.
They will go to campaign. What do we do? What do we see these days?
No.
They'll dance. My
Themselves.
My FCT minister here has a special band, and once they come for campaign, okay, and they dance and dance and dance and dance. At the end of the day, you can't even hold your leaders tomorrow accountable for anything, because in the first place, nobody promised you anything.
No blueprint.
No blueprint, nothing.
Barrister, since you've taken us to that point, the EKITI state election has been said to be a seamless election, peaceful election. But from a legal standpoint, do we see legal cases cooking up?
Trust Nigerians now. If there are no legal cases, what do you want my learned seniors to do? They will definitely. In fact, from Monday they will start approaching the court.
So even though it has been said to be a free, fair, and credible election,
The more peaceful it is, the more reasons why they should go to court. Nigerians will have
so at that point, should we say that the whole process is to ridicule the judiciary by taking frivolous cases to court, even though the election has been said to be free, fair, and credible?
It comes back to an issue that I have always emphasized. One, political desperation of our political ally. Then two,
at the detriment of yes,
we run a system that we ourselves, the actors themselves, have so much distrust for both for institutions and for themselves. And because there is so much distrust, even when things seem to be seamless, there will always be complaints, there will always be challenges, there will always be issues. Definitely, be rest assured that by Monday, my learned seniors will be rushing to court to file petitions.
Well, so lawyers will say food is ready, as we say that in local parlance. Well, it's interesting. Now, Francis, looking beyond these celebrations and the political rhetoric, what single warning sign from the EKITI election should political parties, INEC, Nigerians take seriously as the country prepares for the 2027 general elections?
I think it has to do with sensitization of the electorate, so that we decrease to the barest minimum this issue of voter apathy and vote buying. These are two critical things we should emphasize mainly on. That is the main takeaway from the EKITI just concluded governorship election. It is the onus property of not just only the INEC, the electoral class, which includes the political parties, the aspirants or candidates, the electorate, the voters. These are people, all these people I've just mentioned are those who should come together, play their role as responsible citizens, responsible leaders, so that we can entrench a democratic system that if we are saying we are copying from Britain or we are copying from America or copying from anywhere, we will have a semblance of that place we are copying. We can't be saying we are copying British type of democracy and this American type of democracy or this type of democracy. At the same time, we are not showing any little semblance of that place we are copying. So we should do it in such a way that all these things we come to a barest minimum. I mean, issue of vote buying, then voter apathy. Political parties should take it upon themselves. We still have from now to January, 6 months time, or less than 6 months time, for them to start sensitization. Let them do normal, well-articulated, well-grounded grassroots sensitization of the voters, the electorate, so that they will know that this is their right. Not just their right, this is their time to make a statement. Make a statement so that if Tinubu wins tomorrow, he will actually know that these are voters, these are Nigerians that voted him. If Peter Obi wins tomorrow, he will say these are Nigerians that voted him. If Atiku wins tomorrow, he will know. That is not, at the end of the day, somebody will say it's because votes were bought, or it's because people did not come out to vote, or because we start giving one reason or the other. We don't want such to happen in 2027. Let everybody play their role. Let the political parties do proper sensitization, headed by the political party leaders, their presidential candidates, their party chairmen, and the rest of them. Then on the part of INEC, like Barrister has just said, we should make sure that whoever that is caught, we are not in search of laws, like he said. All the laws are there in the Electoral Act on what to do to those who are involved in vote buying. Let those people who are caught, let arrest be made, so that when arrest is made, prosecution follows. So that people will know that, yeah, this guy was involved in so and so vote buying, in so and so election, and he was caught, he was jailed, he was prosecuted. Tomorrow, another person will run away and stay away. That is how we make it a point of duty, so that we will change the bad narratives we currently have in our electoral system.
Barrister, there have been this speculation, just before I let you go on the final note, that Nigerian practice more of aristocracy than democracy. Nigerian practice more of gerontocracy than democracy. We practice all manner of crazy, minus the democracy, which is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. We practice the government of the few, we practice the government of the elderly, as it were. But then, there's another part of that argument that says that we are not ready for democracy. Going by the EKITI state election, how will you assess Nigerian readiness for democracy? Are we ready for it? Or we should begin to look at more of a monarchical system or other forms of government?
Mr. Gordon, I want to correct an impression. There is nothing particularly new or novel about the EKITI election. Everything that happened in EKITI.
Yeah, we use EKITI as a base, as a takeoff.
Am I wrong?
As a takeoff, right. Because we are trying to correct the system. But we're trying to correct the system right now. So looking at it, are we ready? Can we be having that conversation as a country that we are democratized?
I will still come back to certain issues that I have always emphasized. And that issue is the willingness and readiness of the ordinary Nigerian to sacrifice his comforts and hold the political process and system accountable. See, let me tell you one thing. When the blacks were agitating for freedom in the United States of America, there was something that they held against America. American Charter. This nation has promised this. We hold you accountable for the promise you have made that all men are born equal. That was what they used in blackmailing America into granting them freedom. Yes. We have laws as made by our parliaments. We have institutions as put up by our government. Let's hold those institutions accountable. Let me give you a practical example. In 2023, when the present governor of Kano State conducted a contested election under NNPP against the candidate Gawuna that is NDC now, against Gawuna, who was a candidate of the APC then. Allegedly, let me use your words, there were attempts by the INEC officials at the collation center haven't been induced to announce a particular candidate. And the Kano people told them that yes, you have the power to announce any candidate you want to announce, but let it be known to you that none of us is living here alive if you announce anything other than what we voted. And that was how the due winner was announced. Remember what happened to Binani in Anambra.
Adamawa.
In Adamawa. One guy came from God knows where and wanted to announce a candidate even without putting the figures together. He had to be stopped. She would have gone, the rep would have gone ahead and announced, and the rest would have been led to judicial legal acrobatics. So we need to hold institutions, persons accountable as voters, as Nigerians, as INEC. Let's hold institutions accountable. We can also hold our country, not until we are ready and willing. And before we can hold them accountable, we also must reorientate. When we talk about vote buying, who is ready to collect? It is when there is a market that you will pay now.
Yes.
If the Nigerian people are determined and intentional about rejecting money and voting their conscience, the issue of vote buying will die a natural death.
That is it.
So we have, all of us have roles to play as Nigerians.
Well,
to also evolve a very transparent
let's take that to be your last word. Well, so this time I want to say thank you so much, Barrister SALIFU OGUCHE, for final time to be with us here on Korero.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Francis Okoye, for being with us here on Korero.
Thank
Well,
you.
it has been a very interesting conversation, gentlemen. We're looking at EKITI State. Well, viewer, this is how far we can go tonight on Korero. Do not forget that you can leave your thoughts. You can leave your comments on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the RapidTV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.